other girls in high school would look one way, and I'm like, I
Mm.
don't really have boobs. I don't really have hips. I don't really, what, what do I look at to as like I don't know, a role model, but
Hmm.
like all you see was skinny.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like being self-conscious about my outward appearance. And I mean, I've gained and lost 20 pounds so many times in my life that I don't know, it is something that I am constantly working on, but I guess also trying to find a place where I'm like happy with how I look
Mhm.
rather than hitting a number.
It's time for you to create your fate. Welcome to today's episode of the Create Your Fate podcast. I am your host, life coach Meg Ellis, and I am back here with my bestie, Alanna Dybus, coming in from DC.
Hey,
What's up?
it's much more fun when we were sitting next to each other drinking champagne.
I know, champagne is my favorite. You mean in Miami last week?
Yeah, or the last time we recorded a podcast.
Oh, that's true. Well, I'm in Austin in a tiny house, and there's no champagne. So, but go for it, you know?
I'm not drinking.
All right. Well, I know it's like Thursday, right? Um, yeah,
Once upon a time, I was a very different person on Thursdays, but that's okay.
I mean, back in the college days, Thursdays was like the day.
Yes,
Oh, how times have changed.
I know, right?
It's a Thursday night. I just spent over an hour trying to figure out how to record a podcast on my computer, as you witnessed for a good 45 minutes of that. But
That was
we're
great.
here. You know, I am in Austin. Soul Cycle had asked me to come. Well, I was coming out here to write my book, and then it actually kind of just like lined up really well with Soul Cycle, who needed me to teach while I'm here. So I was like, yeah, this is perfect. Teach in the mornings, do my thing in the afternoons. And I was on this health kick and decided, okay, I'm going to get my Airbnb, right? I'm staying in a tiny house. And I bought all these groceries before. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be so healthy. I'm not going to eat out at all. I'm going to not drink at all. I'm here to work and just kind of focus. And I get here and have like salads and fruits and chicken. And the house that had advertised a kitchen, yeah, kitchen. Just be
Quote
careful when
unquote
you're on
kitchen.
Airbnb. Airbnb, do not sponsor us. um,
Just kidding.
the kitchen, yeah, right. Just kidding. I will take you, please. Um, the kitchen was a Keurig, a microwave, 2 spoons, and a knife. I'm like, what? So if you've never eaten rotisserie chicken with a spoon, you just haven't lived.
Well, I have actually sat in my car before freshly getting a rotisserie chicken from Costco and just plucked it
Just,
right out of the package.
I mean, that's why we have long nails, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't even think I like it was pre-long nail, Elena.
Just going
But,
right in.
sometimes you're hungry. It's a great source of protein. You gotta do
Honestly,
what you gotta do.
those rotisserie chickens on the way home from the grocery store, I don't think they smell as good ever as they do on the car ride home.
They don't. They don't.
No, they really don't.
They taste really good at that point in time too.
I know. They're just, I don't know. I think you're like hungry at the grocery store. So I don't know. I've done it before too. I'm not going to judge. You know, I really won't. But how's your week going? I saw you, what, 2 weeks ago in Miami
2 weeks ago in Miami. It's
celebrating your
good.
birthday.
Celebrated my birthday, drank all the champagne. Speaking of champagne,
Lots of champagne. It was good. It was fun.
we had so much fun.
It was.
You know, potential inspirations to move to Miami.
I know. Will we move to Miami?
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. I know. No, it was fun. It was a good trip. It was a good time for my soul. It was just really
It
nice.
was. Agreed.
Yeah.
Totally agree. The massage didn't hurt either.
Oh no, I forgot about that. That was good. Well, that kind of things that we were talking about. Your friend was there too. And we kind of got started on this topic of conversation that inspired this episode today of just, you take three women, all grew up in three different places, different ages, different body types. I mean, you'd look at any of them and say, you're beautiful, right? What do you have to be insecure about? And we sat down at one of our brunches, with lots of champagne and just talking about just how we all have, everybody has body dysmorphia,
Yeah.
and it's just crazy. So thank you for volunteering your services for this podcast. But I think it's just, it's an episode that I think it will resonate with a lot of people. And it's just something that I know I constantly hear in coaching, right? It's just even a little tiny comments. So I
Right.
was just wondering, just to start off the conversation of like, what is body dysmorphia? What has that meant for you in your life?
I think it's directly kind of been associated with a level of happiness and self-confidence, and never being happy with where I am. I
Mm-hmm.
could be 120 pounds, I could be 180 pounds, and at neither place am I going to be happy with myself.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I'm not a very tall person, so 180 pounds is not a healthy place to be by any stretch of the imagination. But you can still love yourself, I think, and embrace that. But yeah, I mean, I think I directly associate my happiness and satisfaction with myself with my weight. Um, and yeah, just how I feel.
Mm-hmm. I think that's how a lot of, and I'm sure this pertains to men too. I don't want to, generalize it to just one particular group of people. I primarily coach women. I primarily hang out with, a lot of my friends are women. So I think a lot of people, and especially women, do feel that way, that same way. Um, and it's just so interesting because, like you said, you could be 120 pounds, right? You have this goal weight. Oh my gosh, this I'll be happy when syndrome, right? Of I'll be happy when I hit 120 pounds. And then what happens when you hit it?
Yeah, I feel like when you hit it, you're still like, oh, but look at this pooch, or look at my arms, or
Mhm,
I don't know. It's just it's like you're hyper focused on different, I don't know, whatever part of your body you're not happy with, and for different people it means different things.
mhm,
Um, and I think what was interesting too when we were talking about this at lunch was that I never realized that my friend was dealing with this.
mhm.
And I always enjoyed being around her because, or like, obviously she's my friend. But, like I enjoy we lived together, we were roommates for a period of time, and I was always like, "Oh, she's so healthy." Like it inspires me to eat healthy and particular about, whatever she puts in her body. So I always was like, "Oh, this is so great. Such a great influence for me to be around." And then I had no idea. So to find that out was, I always just thought she was regimented.
Mhm,
And like we kind of discussed too, it came from a place of control.
mhm,
Um, Not just necessarily feeling like you need to look. For me, I don't find that my maybe the way that I feel about how I look comes from a place of control. But obviously, like when you're in control, you're better able to keep track of, what you put in your body,
right.
how you exercise,
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that is it's a big thing. I'm not going to say it's for everybody, but that is definitely one reason. If everything else is in your world, like if shit's hitting the fan,
mhm.
it's like that's the one thing that you can control. Like, oh, I can control what I eat. I can control how much I work out. So I definitely do think there's a direct correlation to that. I'd be curious to see what really kind of honing in on the root of the problem of if you identify it as control, what that would
Yeah.
do, versus just, I mean, it could resonate in other areas of your life too. But you said it's not control for you. So what do you think that you're, if you could identify a root of the problem, what would you say?
That's a good question. I think it's maybe, we grew up in a time where very thin was the look, and I have never been very thin. I've always been muscular, or I don't know, call it whatever you want. Athletic, maybe. More recently, apparently curvy.
Curvy, yeah. I
Um,
get called curvy quite a lot. The occasional thick.
thick.
Thick, what you see is.
Um,
I mean, I don't hate it,
it,
but
right. But like, I feel like those can all mean so many different things. And
yeah,
I've always
right.
thought, like, I have always been an athletic person, but like, I always had a short waist and a big rib cage, and I never knew how to, like, I just was never comfortable with
Hmm.
trying, like, other girls in high school would look one way, and I'm like, I
Hmm.
don't really have boobs, I don't really have hips, I don't really, what, what do I look at to as like a, I don't know, a role model, but
Hmm.
like all you see was skinny.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like being self-conscious about my outward appearance. And I mean, I've gained and lost 20 pounds so many times in my life that I don't know, it is something that I am constantly working on, but I guess also trying to find a place where I'm like happy with how I look
Mhm.
rather than hitting a number.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, the
but yeah,
numbers
I think it's
are.
just the outward. It's like outward. We hung out with friends in the early 2000s, late 2000. What do you call that time period? I don't know. 2007, 2008.
I don't know. What is that called? 2000s, yeah. Because then it was the 2010s, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
2010s,
Yeah,
yeah. 2000s, yeah.
2010s. So the late 2000s. Um,
Good music,
you know,
bad fashion.
there's always good music somewhere. Um, but like, we had friends who were like really thin and like did whatever, and you don't always know that people's bodies are different.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
how do you learn how to appreciate what you have and be happy with what you have and not feel that pressure?
Hmm.
I don't know. I feel like it's probably something that a lot of people our age constantly, I mean, I know I'm constantly talking to friends about if it's not me wanting to lose weight, which I generally always am. We've talked about that before. You're like, focus on 5 pounds, not 20 pounds. I'm like, yeah, okay,
One
whatever.
pound at a time. Yeah. Or, yeah.
Um, but if it's not me, like it's other, I have other friends that are constantly talking about it too. And I don't know, it doesn't so much feel like a societal pressure as much anymore, but it's still back there.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
I definitely think, okay, I hate to say this, but this is just the honest truth. Um, because you're right. Back in the 90s, do you follow that guy on TikTok? He's like, it was the 90s. Anyway, no.
no.
Okay. Anyway, it's all these like
I
crazy, like
I
hilarious.
like
I will send you his page.
one there's like one guy on TikTok that I follow, and he is this really hot guy who chops wood. That's it.
Oh, I think I follow him too. I think
Hmm.
he did something with a watermelon recently too.
Yeah, squeezed it with his thighs.
Yeah. Anyway, BRB going on TikTok. Oh wait, we're recording a podcast. Um, I'm all
We're
distracted now. But the 90s guy definitely different kind of TikTok vibe. But anyway, he talks about like just all these crazy things in the 90s. And then I'm like in the 90s and early 2000s, it was, Kate Moss and all the Victoria's Secret angels. I remember my MySpace background was it Alessandra Ambrosio? Like, or one of them. But they were, stick skinny models, and it was just Paris Hilton, right? It was that era. And even the fashion was geared towards that body
we used
type.
to go to we used to watch the Victoria's Secret fashion show at the gym.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I used to watch that in college all the time with my college roommate. It was
Yeah.
like the thing to watch. Yeah. I think,
Yeah.
do they still even, I don't even
I
know if they
watched
still
it
do
with
it.
you at the gym before.
Oh,
Like we
geez.
did that.
Yeah. Oh, we're like on the treadmills. Like, what are the ellipticals? Probably like
Oh,
watching the, oh gosh. Yeah. It was on
something cringy like
Tuesday
that.
nights or something. Yeah. I can't remember. But, you know, that was just what we aspired to be. And
Hmm.
I mean, honestly, if you think about it, back then, and this goes for our generation and older people too. We had very limited access to what beauty looked like.
Hmm.
We had, a set number of magazines, a set number of shows, right? And they all showed
Yeah.
the same thing. And everything was super airbrushed. And that was back before we had the tools to airbrush our own photos. Like we
Right.
couldn't Photoshop. So it was like, oh my
Right.
gosh, I could never get my skin to have zero pores on Glamour magazine or whatever. You thought this was
Right.
real, at least I did.
Right.
And
Yeah, but there's always something that you could, there's an, oh my God, page number 3.
yeah, let me
How to
bookmark
lose
that
10
one.
pounds before the dance. But it's interesting that you say that before I lose this thought. Because there's so many, I feel like, negative things about social media, but I feel like what you're saying right now is maybe a really positive one where people have the opportunity to see people of all shapes and sizes, skin colors,
Yeah.
ethnicities, whatever. So you're exposed to a lot more, but I guess depending on the kind of person you are, just how your brain works, like that
Hmm.
could be a positive, or maybe it could be a negative too. Like
Hmm.
the if all you're seeing, then the algorithm, I guess, is where you might get into trouble by, you know, constantly being fed a tall, skinny girl, which is what we saw on Cosmo and YM
Oh
and
my gosh. J14.
Dawson's Creek.
With the centerfold, you could like pull out the 4 pages that were connected and it was like an NSYNC poster.
Yeah. The Abercrombie bags.
Oh, Abercrombie bags. PTSD too soon. Do they
Get it
still look
taped
like
all over the
that?
wall.
I've been hearing to go into Abercrombie. That's the place to go for jeans. You
You're
had them.
welcome.
Yeah, you had them in
Yeah.
Miami. I'm like, oh yeah, I've been hearing from you. But also like, I mean, so many people in their 30s, they're catering to Abercrombie or Abercrombie's catering to us. So
Right.
Abercrombie
They
sponsor
they
us.
actually do yeah. They actually do a great job, I feel like, of spanning the generations because there's like kids that go, like
Hmm.
kids, high schoolers or whatever that go in there, but a lot of times I find good stuff. Great bodysuits. Um,
Abercrombie has bodysuits.
good bodysuits.
Okay, they have really
Yeah.
stepped it up because the last time I was in there, it was a $90 sweatshirt that my mom was not going to buy me.
I still have my $90 sweatshirt and something about like something inside me, it's just not going to get rid of it. But they don't have like the models on the bags. And
Mm,
obviously they have gotten in a lot of trouble for their, uh, I guess, hiring policies or how they hired people that look like models and they had to be white
yeah,
and all of that stuff. There's a documentary on Netflix
I
about
think I did see part of that, and then I fell asleep. But
that.
but that's a good point of, there's just so much more exposure. So you can see people like Lizzo who are, I mean, she has her show. I think it's a show, and then she had a documentary that I recently watched. Lacey's really into documentaries, so I watch them all the time. And
Oh, there you go.
I normally make it through about half and
Yeah,
then fall asleep. But
right.
but these like body positive messages, and you see people, even the models, not just with Abercrombie, but across the board, are every body, really, like every
Yeah.
body, and
Well, let me.
that's nice because I mean, there's a couple websites that I will shop on, and the one thing that makes me so mad is it's the same 2 or 3 models.
Mhm.
They have Afterpay, so I continue to shop off of them. But
We were talking about, I was talking to somebody about Zara. It's like they have one model
mhm.
and, or, it's like, I like the ones that have options, but
Yeah,
sometimes the options are like the two extremes. Like where's your average girl? Like where's your average person?
Right.
Like I don't
Right.
and
Show
maybe
me a
there's not an
size,
average, but
6, 8, 10, 12. Show me those
yeah,
sizes, not just
right.
double zero, zero, and a two,
And
and
then
then plus
16.
size.
Yeah,
How about clothes for everybody, right? I mean,
right.
and that's not to say, I don't think people who are a size zero, that's not a bad thing, right? Some people are just small
No.
people, and your friend who we were with, she is very petite, and she was,
Yeah,
contributing to the body dysmorphia, sharing, about the control, and that's kind of her route. But I mean, any body type can have body dysmorphia, and
right.
it's just, it is interesting, just even with the models. It makes me mad whenever I go on a website and I see that it's all one something, right? There's no diversity even with models. But
Right.
I can look at something and say that is going to look really good on you, but me, who also I have zero torso. It's literally 2 inches like long,
Yeah. Like
really
my
long
ribs
legs.
sit on my hip bones.
I know. I'm like, what happened? Did I get stuck or
Just
something?
stacked.
Like out of the womb, like pulling. But I literally have zero torso. And that's always been my quote unquote problem area. That
Mhm.
that's my most self-conscious feature. Um, but and big rib cage, like big chest. It's something I'm comfortable with now. But growing
Right.
up, it was just I didn't look like all my really petite friends. I was always the like also I'm really tall, so I'm just like a big person.
Yeah.
And I was always just bigger than everybody, and it's just so when you see these, it just makes me mad whenever I see these websites with clothes where it's like that is not going to look like that on me
Right.
at
Right.
all.
Right. Yeah. I don't know, it's confusing. It's hard and everybody's doing online shopping these days, so I guess your best bet is just buy it all and return it or, hope for the best. Make sure they have a good return policy.
I know.
But
I'm that person who just never returns it.
I've gotten better about it.
I just if I have to go
Gotten
back,
better.
do you have to go back to the post office or FedEx or
Sometimes.
something?
So it's interesting. Like I returned, remember those? So I bought a pair of shoes a couple weeks ago. Shoes are great because usually they fit, right? Well, these just looked a little cheap and they were 130 bucks. So
Not
130
cheap.
bucks is
Yeah.
a little too much money to spend on a cheap looking pair of shoes. And they actually, well, I'm lucky. I live in an area where I can walk to a lot of places. But they just did this easy return thing, and I took it to this FedEx Kinko's store, and they just like scanned the little QR code on my phone, and I dropped it off, and they took it. Same thing when I ordered a latex skirt from Skims.
As
If
one
Skims says it's
as one
latex,
does.
I
Okay.
thought it was gonna be cute for Miami and kind of like like um my black Spanx leggings that are
The
like
patent leather,
patent leather. I
the
thought it was gonna
the
look like
squeaky
that.
pants.
Yeah. I legitimately brought hair oil out with me one night so I could lube up my thighs.
Yeah,
Oh my
honestly,
God.
I get commercials for those all the time. I never bought those. I have Spanx. I swear by Spanx. I love Spanx. Um,
I
but
think I introduced
just
you to those
just
too.
yes, you know what? I hate shopping, and you get clothes, and I'm like, that's cute. I want it too.
I also have a short torso.
I know. I'm like, hey, that looks good on you. I'm gonna buy it too. Literally the last probably 4 or 5 things I bought. Sorry. Um, we live in different cities. If we move to Miami together, this is gonna be great. Then we can only
It's
one of us has to buy it. We're gonna save
exactly.
so much money. Um, but yes, I was gonna say, just disclaimer, if you see those pants, they are really cute, but they do make noise.
Oh, they look really good too,
They're audible.
I think.
They're
They are.
pleasing to the eyes and the ears.
I don't know if pleasing to the ears is quite the
If you're
description I'd
into
go
if
with,
you're
but
into squeaks.
So what I will say too, like one thing that I was thinking about when we were in Miami, when we went there, it's like, oh, all these people are going to be like skinny, tall, beautiful, and I really felt like that I didn't feel self-conscious when we were there at all. I felt like there were people of all shapes and sizes. We went out to a club. The kids were wearing sneakers. Meg was very jealous of that.
No, I was not jealous. I was mad.
She was
There's a
mad.
difference because I wanted to wear joggers and sneakers, and you made me wear a see-through shirt and 4-inch heels.
Okay. You could have worn the sandals, but not the joggers.
I was not jealous. I was angry. Yeah. What do
For
you
the
have
record,
against
I was
joggers?
wearing a two-piece sequin because we were getting dressed up.
Yes,
And I was
yes.
wearing a
I was happy to
two-piece
dress up.
sequin skirt set.
I hadn't worn stilettos out in probably, it's been years, pre-COVID for sure. And then it hit 2 a.m. and I was like, we
You
are
wore
going home.
stilettos in
My feet hurt so
Scottsdale.
bad.
You wore stilettos in Scottsdale on your birthday.
That was probably the last time. That was over a year ago.
But I did feel kind of old because I was like, oh shit, I'm wearing heels. Kids aren't wearing heels anymore. So my
Yeah.
shoes were comfortable. But I felt like it was a very, I don't know, it was interesting that the topic of body dysmorphia and body like, being self-conscious about whatever part of your body it was came up because that entire time, like me, somebody who's generally very self-conscious about whatever body part, I felt like I didn't feel like, oh my God, I'm gonna be so fat going out tonight. Oh my God. Like I
Mhm,
felt like it was pretty, I don't know, it was just a great, I don't know, great energy, great mindset, great
mhm,
people everywhere were just, and maybe that's the way things are going now. People are just more accepting of
mhm.
every different body.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
definitely felt that way too, like very comfortable. Well, aside from the stilettos situation, overall, very comfortable in my body.
Mentally comfortable, not physically
I was not
comfortable.
comfortable in my clothes. I was comfortable in my body. So, um, yeah. I packed a whole suitcase of everything and I wore the joggers twice. Like, I just don't want to wear. Anyway, it's a whole other podcast. I hate clothes. Just let me wear black. Um,
You
so
did wear black that night.
I think I wore black the whole weekend. It was really funny because I spoke to like 250. I almost said 250,000. It was 250. 10th grade girls is where I was going. On Valentine's Day about body image and self-love. And it was funny because I told this story about basically being made fun of for my clothes that I used to wear because I wore hand-me-downs, I wore garage sale clothes, I wore my boy cousin's hand-me-downs. I had no idea I was wearing boy clothes until somebody told me in a very mean way.
Oh my God.
I know it's very
Oh my God.
traumatizing. Um, but the point was, it was funny because just on the topic of clothes, I was texting my sister afterwards, and none of my siblings, I have 3 siblings, none of us care at all about clothes. And I think it's because we grew up and I was always like, you're getting this what's it called? Garage sale, hand me down, or we can't afford this clothes, or no, we're not going to Abercrombie. Like, here's this garage sale outfit, right? And so now I think all of us are
Are
just,
there a lot of garage sales or what?
oh my gosh, every Saturday my grandma would take us with her. We would fight to go who got to go garage sailing because she would not take all of us.
Oh,
And
she's not crazy.
yes, right. Why not take 4 kids to a garage sale on a Saturday? Because no. I'm sure she would have, but she always bought so much stuff that there was only room for one of us in the car. So anyway, none of us are into clothes, and I think it's because my family just never, we never like cared about my parents. They didn't really dress. I mean, they looked nice, but it was never fashionable clothing or anything. I think my dad still wears the same stuff he wore in the 90s. So
I feel like you care a little bit.
I care a little bit more
You've
now.
talked about shopping.
I've talked about
Didn't
shopping.
happen, but
Yeah. That's why I just like wearing black. It's just easy, you know?
yeah,
I could wear this shirt tomorrow and you would have no idea. It's the same shirt.
I'm over here looking like Steve Jobs, also wearing black.
Right. You look like you run Theranos.
I am not under investigation. I don't know what happened to her. That's a whole different topic.
She's going to jail in April in Texas. Anyway, different
Oh,
podcast, but
yeah,
um great documentary. Speaking of that, Lacey made me watch that one. It is a great documentary. But anyway, I can't remember where we were going from here, but just I think honestly, this tangent, as we are both Enneagram sevens, I'm gonna trace it back. We started with the latex skirt. That's where that came from, and Skims. But
yeah.
um, so Kim Kardashian, right? Let's go back to the early 2000s. And like I said, I was always curvy. I had, you know, the boobs, the butt, everything. No torso, but long legs, boobs, and a butt, right? And nobody
Hmm.
had that, and that was not in style. And here's the funny thing: as much as I don't love Kim Kardashian and what she stands for, and kind of just everything about her. No offense, Kim,
I'm
if you're
not
listening
really
to this
sure what
podcast.
not really sure what she stands for.
Yeah, I'm not like really about her. I'm not I don't follow them on Instagram or watch her show or anything, but um when she became Kim K, that's when that body type, the curvy, came into style. And all of a
Hmm.
sudden it was like I went from being an outsider to being like trying to cover up everything and being uncomfortable in my body to, oh my gosh, your body is in style now. And I
Yeah.
think, I mean, I saw what a couple of months ago that heroin chic is back in, and they're trying to get
Yeah.
everybody back to the super skinny, model of whatever that, like Kate Moss, the Paris Hiltons, Um, but it's just interesting that not clothes can also go out of style, but so can body types. I think that's really
Right.
messed up.
Have you ever seen that? I don't know if it's like a reel or a TikTok or whatever, but it's like body body types like over the last couple decades, and it's
Mm-mm.
like it's crazy. It's really cool. If I find it, I'll send it to you. But
Yeah,
like
send it to me. I'll,
the
I'll tag
shape
it.
like is constantly changing,
Mhm.
which is just it's true, but it's wild. But it's I don't I wish I had a reason like why, you know?
I think if I had to guess, and I don't know, fashion, right? Trends. Um, how many women spend money trying, to put fat in their bodies, right? In certain places,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then you go from, okay, now I need more clothes that's going to fit my body. Okay, so let's
Mhm.
buy this style of clothes. But then in this season, in this era, now skinny's in. So now you're going to spend all this money on diet culture.
Right.
And then,
But people are still getting BBLs and doing all that.
mhm.
Um, so like then what happens? Then do you decide you don't want your butt anymore? You know, like do they suck you get butt lipo? I don't know. I don't know how it works.
I don't know. I don't, but I guess that's something that, I mean, you
You're
would,
like, I don't have to worry about that.
I right? I know mine's there no matter what. um, sorry. um, yeah, I don't know what you would do. I guess people probably do different things,
Yeah.
but I remember being at Pizza Hut
Ooh.
and I
Did you
was
read a book?
for Book It. I think
Yeah.
I I want to say I was 16 and I had a boyfriend because I got this sticker out of the little, I don't know, you play a game or something, get a sticker. And I remember very specifically, and this had to have been during that era of heroin chic,
Hmm.
because my mom, who's always been very self-conscious about her weight, and growing up, she was like eat a cracker a day kind of person. And she always she had, slim fast bars and shakes growing up and didn't really eat much. And she was always just self-conscious about her weight and really tried to be really skinny.
Mhm.
And I got this sticker and it said, "Don't worry, one day big butts will be back in style." I don't know why that was at Pizza Hut in like one of their sticker machines,
That's
but
so weird.
it's so weird, right? So that was probably 2003, maybe 2002. And
Yeah.
and I just remember her laughing hysterically, like, "Oh my gosh, that's never gonna happen." And
Jeez.
yeah, and then it went on my boyfriend's guitar case. But
How romantic.
I know, right? But it's just
But
interesting, to think about. At that point in time, oh my gosh, this body type is never going to be, you
right.
know, in
But it's
style.
interesting too because it's like, okay, you want a big butt, but then like your thighs still shouldn't touch. It's like,
Right. The thigh gap.
what?
And I don't, it makes me so mad because as an adult now, I can identify when something's been massively photoshopped in a
Yeah.
magazine or online. And you can clearly tell, like, there's no way that this person's
Mhm.
thighs would go like this. And then I think
Right.
about all these young girls who don't
Right.
know that that's not real.
Right. Well, I mean, going back to you, you don't Photoshop or filter your pictures anymore, right? So,
No,
like
I can,
leading the way on that.
yeah, right. Um, I used to though, and I remember
Mhm.
being very self-conscious about photos, especially in fitness. I've been in fitness for almost 10 years.
Mhm.
And again, curvy was not always it. You're in a most, just generalizing here, but most people are very like that thin, athletic look, no butt, no boobs,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And that was just kind of the look for an instructor. And
Right.
then I did not, again, fit that mold. So I remember definitely at the beginning, especially when I went to boutique fitness, where you kind of level up in a certain level of, aesthetics and skills and, talents. And it's just a smaller group of people that are all pretty much full time this, right? That was their full time
Right.
profession. And I always would Photoshop my pictures to make it look nothing crazy, but just like a little, side boob thing here or just the back fat here in a sports bra because I
Right.
didn't want to be, the biggest instructor or I didn't want somebody to think that I looked out of shape,
Right.
you know?
But I mean, that could be a whole conversation in itself. One of my solid core instructors recently posted, I mean, I do solid core all the time. I love it. It's a workout like I've never, I don't know, it just works out a different part of my body. So I really, something I would never get to on my own. And I'm still chasing being, being fit. I think being fit is the look that I'm going for. But he posted on his Instagram, do you feel like your trainers and coaches need to be in shape in order to be a coach that you would follow? And I struggled with trying to answer that honestly because immediately I'm thinking yes.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I mean, he's a thin man. And I don't know if he was taking it from that way or talking about somebody who's maybe a little bit bigger or
Mhm.
whatever. So like to your point about like I don't want to look like I'm out of shape. But if you're trying to teach me how to, which I mean I think we're each our own worst critics as far as, body image and, oh God, there's like it's pinching my skin there, it looks like fat, like whatever. We're our own worst critics when it comes to looking at pictures of ourselves
Mhm.
generally, except in middle school, like everybody's a jerk. Hopefully they're nice now, but I don't think so. I think they're still jerks. Um, for whatever reasons. But yeah, I think when I look at somebody who is coaching um whatever it is, whatever class I'm taking or whatever workout I'm doing, like I would be more inclined to take somebody who is fit. I mean, I don't
Hmm.
know. It is an interesting thought, but I mean, I know that there are some instructors whose bodies are just bigger and they teach a great class.
Hmm.
So I don't know if that's like me, my mindset, or somebody else's. If that's like a general consensus, like I don't know.
That's
But you would
it.
think,
Yeah, I can see both sides, right? Because I am a fitness instructor, but I'm also someone who takes fitness classes.
right,
So
right,
I think I kind of have a little insider perspective, but I am both, right? And I think that's the hard part because you might not even be consciously doing it, but you might be
right,
unconsciously doing that, right? And
right,
everybody does that. Like, oh, I want to look like that. I want to go to this person's class, right?
right,
Um, and also, I think it's a mix of, I don't think it's black and white where it's, oh, you look amazing, but if you have no skills and your class is actually terrible and, all these other components of being an instructor are amiss, would I
right,
go to that class just because that person, looks like that? Or is it an extra thing? And then on the other
right,
side, it's like, hey, all you're so fun, you're motivating, you're energizing, you make me want to come to class, so I do. But
right,
you don't look the part per se.
right.
I think there's this big area, and again, it's yeah, like you said, instructors, and I think it is becoming less taboo. But instructors have different body types, and
Right.
I think especially after COVID, people want relatability.
Hmm.
So I think that's a huge trend, we'll call it. Even on social media, it used to be, before COVID, it was professional pictures of everyday people, right? Everyone was just
Right.
picture, 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 picture. And then it moved to, oh, hey, now we're super casual because no one's brushed their hair in 2 weeks because it's COVID.
Right. Right.
And my recycling bin is jiggling, and making a queenie, queen, queen every Monday, And,
Right.
and then and then it was like, oh, we're all a little bit heavier now than we were. We haven't worked out in months or sometimes years, depending on what happened and where you were. And we
Right.
got out of our healthy eating habits or whatever it is. So, I think it's definitely different. And now people wanted connection. So even on social media, it's like, hey, show me who you really are. I want to know who you are. Don't just show me this picture perfect person. So
Right.
maybe instructors would be affected, even with that.
Yeah. I mean, I find that I take classes from people I connect with,
Hmm.
um, or just like, I feel like I have some when they're teaching the class and maybe they make a joke that resonates with me or whatever. In Solid Core specifically, in Soul Cycle, I go back to the like old favorites that I have. But like personal training, if it's somebody who's like you're talking to about your body goals, I don't know. It's an interesting thing to ponder, I guess.
Hmm.
And as I'm getting older, I'm learning, oh, let's I wish I had more of I did sports all throughout high school, ate whatever my mom, gave us. And then as long as it wasn't I didn't like chili or meatloaf or lasagna.
Ooh, I like lasagna. But that first two, ooh.
Yeah. I'm coming around to lasagna, but I like, we didn't really learn about we like ate healthy according to whatever our parents put in front of us, right? So then like in college, you're binge drinking and eating pizza and well, at least if you're me. Um
I think everybody does that in college. Everything's
and
$5. This whole pizza's $5. Okay.
yeah, and kind of working out. And then after college, it's like, oh, I can do whatever I want. Oh, then I moved to Pittsburgh and they put French fries on freaking salads. So
Yeah, I
there was
grew up with
that.
that. What do you mean French fries are not salads anywhere else?
Right. And now I feel like there's just so many more resources of how can you eat healthy, because I guess what I was trying to get to the entire time I was going through all these phases is that it's for me truly not necessarily like working out makes me feel good physically and mentally, and it's like a healthy I don't know, a healthy channel of my energy. Um but like the eating component is huge.
Hmm.
It's all about like making sure you get the high, high high fiber fruits and veggies, like all that good stuff, protein in there, and maybe not so many potatoes or chips or like it's not necessarily even just carbs though. It's like cheese and fatty, like
Yeah.
it's interesting how I am 39 years old, and like it's like I've gone through different phases and tried different things that have worked for me to lose weight and be at places where I thought I'd be happy with myself, and it's like, oh, this is what I had to do the whole time.
Yeah, right. Well, I think we have so much more to talk about.
I
So we
know.
are going to be continuing on part two. So definitely tune in next week for part two. And I think a good point that we can talk about next week is the food pyramid that we all grew up with. Speaking of that, I'd like to continue to talk about, social media and even just the thing with instructors and fitness, um, this all these parts of body image. And then you said that you would share your own story about plastic surgery, and you're someone who's extremely active and physical. And I think there's a lot of taboo around that too, of it's got to be this or that. So tune in to hear Elena's plastic surgery story. So,
Yeah. We'll
um,
talk about Botox, fillers, plastic surgery,
yeah,
all
all
the
the
body
things,
upgrades.
all of the things, and also like what it comes down to, of lessons that I've learned, that Elena's learned, of things that help you too. So what can you do? We've kind of identified all these problems. So tune in next week for part two of the conversation and all these amazing things that we've realized that can actually help you too. So that's all we got for you today. I believe that you can create your own life, your fate. I know Elena believes the same thing. So if we could leave you with just one thing, it would be this: expect
Expect good
good things always,
things always.
and they will happen. Crushed it. All right, we'll see y'all next week. Thanks, guys.